What's up guys, Eagle14 here, soaring back into everyday life with another video. And in this video we're going to be talking about the different options you have for building your own Nerf war cover, sort of an overview of the different types and designs that people generally use, and the pros and cons and sort of disadvantages for each one, and basically to help you choose which sort of option of Nerf war cover best suits you and which one you should choose. So diving right on into it, the first option that people use, now I'll throw pictures up right here in editing. So the first option that comes up most frequently, or that you see the most people use, are PVC tarp walls, also known as mobstacles. Basically what these are is it's a PVC frame, a square, and then it has legs on the bottom that allow it to sit flat on the ground. The main advantages of these are that they're very durable. Because they're made out of PVC and usually tarps, they're very durable, so they can stand up to a lot of abuse from players, because if you're using a wall at a game, after a few games people are going to start running into it, they're going to start knocking it over and that sort of thing, so you want a type of cover that will last a long time. The other main advantage is that they're relatively easy to transport, because you can just break down the PVC. You can pack them away pretty easily, so that is very good. The main disadvantage for these is cost, because you have to buy the entire PVC frame, then you have to buy all the fittings for the corners and joints and things, then you have to buy tarps on top of that. It sort of adds up pretty quickly, and you're looking at generally around $10 per wall, which adds up pretty dang quickly if you're making like 15 or 20 or so of these. So that's that. Moving on to our next option, which is cardboard boxes. Now, cardboard boxes are a really good option if you have them available. Hello. Come here. Yeah, there you go. So cardboard boxes are a really good option if you have them available, because they're free usually, or very, very cheap. But they do have a few main disadvantages. The main one being that you have to get really big boxes, and you need like refrigerator boxes or big appliance boxes of that nature. And the other main disadvantage being availability. It's not always the easiest thing to find the cardboard boxes. You have to find a department store that will actually let you take the cardboard that they have and that sort of thing. And the other disadvantage is the fact that they're not very durable. Unless you're covering them in something, it will wear out a lot quicker than the PVC and tarp walls. And especially if you have people who are shooting high power blasters, if you're running an ultra stock event or an NIC event, that sort of thing, some of those blasters will actually shoot right through the cardboard. So some people might think that's okay. Oh yeah, it's just like, it's a real piece of cover and you're in an actual gunfight, because the bullets actually damage the thing that you're shooting at. But anyways, moving on to our next option, which is the pop-up changing rooms. So I believe what they're called. These are large sort of wire frames that have fabric in between them, and they basically fold up, and they're like sort of rectangle boxes things, and those are used to provide area for you to change and that sort of thing. And these are even more expensive than the tarp walls. These are not cheap if you're looking at getting a whole bunch of them. They are very durable. They're also very light, because they're just made of fabric and wire, and so transporting them is very easy. If you're willing to spend the extra money for these are a good option as well. The next option I want to talk about are sort of these blow-up paintball inflatables, like the $10 ones you can get at Walmart, or the battle bunkers is what I think they're called, or the big paintball inflatables is another version of these, or the foam dart thunder cubes that people like Atomic Dart League use, and also the people in Britain. So big inflatable bunkers, they're also pretty expensive. The $10 ones that you can get at Walmart that are available now are about the same cost as the tarp walls, but they're also pretty durable, so they're a good option. But some of the other versions of these bunkers, paintball, inflatable things, the other options of the inflatables are not nearly as cost effective. So they're a good option, but depending on which ones you get, they can be pretty pricey. Moving on to the next thing I want to talk about, which is some alternate constructions for the classical mobstacles to make them a little cheaper. I've seen several different takes on these. Generally, for example, one of the variations is generally they're a square or a rectangle frame, but I've also seen ones that are sort of triangle-shaped tetrahedrons. Those are very interesting because they expose more of the player, which is something some groups favor because it makes it easier to tag players and just makes the games move along quicker. Some other things you can do is swap out the materials for these walls. Generally, they're made from a square PVC frame and legs, like I mentioned earlier. You can take out a lot of that if you just use 2 posts that you hammer into the ground. That cuts down on a lot of the materials and fittings that you have to use, and that lowers your cost. You can also switch out the materials that you use. If you can find something like really cheap fabric at my Goodwill outlet that's near me, they have queen-size bed sheets and tablecloths and things of that nature, really big pieces of fabric that are great for that purpose because they're super cheap because they're sold by the pound. So that's a great option. Plastic drop cloths are also another option. These are usually used for painting to protect the floor where you're painting. Note about those though, they generally are sold, they're rated by the mil or thousandths of an inch, that's the thickness of them. And you don't want anything that's like 1 mil or 2 mil because that'd be too thin to stop your darts most likely. So probably I would get something like 4 mil or 5 mil or even higher. That's just something to keep in mind. Yeah, really any large piece of fabric will work well for those as well. Another thing that I've only seen done by one person that I thought was interesting that I thought I might list is these. They're the classic PVC frame design, but for the fabric they use what I would basically call industrial saran wrap. Is basically what it is. It's plastic wrap that you wrap around furniture when you're moving to protect it. It's really just giant saran wrap, and then you wrap that around the frame, and then you can just transport them that way. So that's another option. The last thing that I want to talk about is natural cover. If you realistically, you should not be looking to make your own cover unless you don't have any locations with natural cover available. Because natural cover like trees, bushes, rocks, that sort of thing, even hills, those are a way better option than making your own cover. Obviously, it saves you a lot of time and effort, and they check all the boxes. They're more durable. Trees especially, they're taller, so you don't have to crouch behind cover, which I find annoying. I'd much rather stand behind the cover and poke my blaster around the side. It's just personal preference, but yeah, if you have natural cover available, definitely go for that over making your own cover. You should really only be making your own cover if you don't have any natural cover available. So that's all the options I want to talk about in this video. In conclusion, just some final things to think about. You should really look at what sort of things you have available and what you can produce with your own budget. Some of the options that I mentioned in this video are significantly more expensive than the other ones. For example, the paintball bunkers and the pop-up changing rooms, those are not nearly as cheap as the other options. And so really you should just look for something that fits your budget and fits what you have available for you. And finally, get creative. Come up with your own designs. Take a combination of these designs, mix and match it up, doesn't matter. Just as long as you have something that's safe, durable, easy to transport. I think that's everything I wanted to talk about in this video. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please comment, like, and subscribe. I really would appreciate it, and it does help me out a lot. If you have any ideas or comments or questions, concerns, different designs that you use, please leave those in the comment section down below. And that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.